Swela Kawane, fantasy fiction author of the Kendrick series. This is book 1 and book 2 and the actual cover of book 1. Now, if you've been watching and following, you'll know why I have that back there and why I said that's the actual cover of book 1. If you haven't, you need to go back 3 videos. Right, so I am a self-published author of the fantasy fiction series, and the last 3 videos covered how to write your book, how to get an ISBN, how to get your cover done, how to get your book formatted. And in this video, I'll be teaching you how to get your book into the bookstore. Not an easy process. Not an easy process at all. But in my first year, I knew absolutely nothing. I just assumed you go into a bookshop and you're like, hey, I wrote a book, got 100 copies. Would you like to put them in your shelf? That's not how it works, right? Not at all. But here's the thing. In order for you to get your book on the shelves, you first need to do some marketing and branding, because a distributor needs to first see what you can get. And let me tell you more about that. Marketing and branding, what is the difference? Right, marketing is when you're advertising your book with the intention to sell it. So the things you should have done by now, before you've even printed your book, before anything, you should have set up your social medias, right? You should have had your Facebook, you should have had your Instagram, your TikTok running. You should have these pages running, these social media pages. You should be running some kind of adverts to get more followers. You should be posting more about your book. You should be doing a build up to the book. You should invite your friends, have them sort of get part of the whole thing, your Facebook friends to be part of the whole thing. Those normally are the people that are very crucial to basically beginning your baseline of the people that are going to form part of your following, right? So you should have these social medias in place, right? That's the first thing you're doing. Now, what is the purpose of the social media platforms? The purpose of the social media platforms is to market your book and to build a brand. Now, if you have an option and you want to, you can sell it yourself and have an e-commerce version, which is in the form of Shopify. But as I was starting out as a self-publisher, I didn't know how many people are going to buy my book, so I was not going to take the risk of having, an e-commerce thing that is there and is deducting every month. And then what is branding? Branding is basically letting people know you exist as an author, your book exists, what is it about? It's basically letting people know that you're out there and you exist, right? That's what the branding part of it is. And I had to do that. Here's the thing, when you're a self-published author, you do not have a marketing team behind you to do things. So you sort of have to learn how to do it yourself. You have to learn how to run the Facebook ads, you have to learn how to run the Amazon ads, and YouTube is filled with all of that, right? The most important thing is to know your keywords, but I am not gonna go into that because that is a video of its own for another day. And even in my second year of being self-published, I am still trying to figure that out, right? So what did I do to get the marketing? Let's start there. Right, the first thing that I did is I opened all my social media platforms, right? And I immediately started posting about the book, posted about the book, ran ads to sort of get people to follow me. And because remember, Facebook has an algorithm that is able to tap into people that are followers that can easily follow a page, right? So people started following and I grew my following from that, which I appreciate every single person who has hit a like into any single social media page that I have, right? So I did that, but then I thought, wait a minute, okay, so my book is out, but apart from online, no one knows it's out. So how do I get people to know it's out? As a child, I used to read a newspaper. It's one of the biggest newspapers in the Eastern Cape, South Africa, called the Daily Dispatch. So I emailed them. I was like, hi, this is Wella from Butterworth, which is an hour away from East London, where your offices are. Would you mind putting up an editorial for me? At this point, I thought they were gonna make me pay. I didn't know there's paid adverts and then there's editorials, but I don't know. They decided to go with the editorial, and they wrote an article, and it was in the newspaper I grew up watching. Now, what I hoped I'd had were better shots, but I'm not a person who particularly likes being in front of the camera, so I didn't have any photos. So this is what I sent, and they did this for me for free as an editorial, and I will be forever grateful to Amanda Nano, who wrote this article for me. Thank you so much. This was in the Daily Dispatch, a newspaper I grew up reading, and I found myself right there in its pages, and it's framed, and it's gonna go up on my wall forever. Right, so that's what I did. And then I started using Instagram, but first of all, you don't know what you're doing. You don't even understand the content. You don't know what's happening right now, right? You have no idea. You're trying to get your book out there as much as possible. And I'm gonna tell you why I am talking about the marketing and branding before I take your book to the bookstore, right? There's a reason behind that. So I did all of this. I grew my social media platforms. I grew my following. I opened a blog. I did that whole thing, the whole thing just to prove that there's people out there. What I then additionally did was I asked my friends, every single one of them who bought the book, to post a photo of themselves on their social media platforms with the book. So what that did is essentially expose the book to their friends list, right? So the book actually started selling. And this is why this is important, because in order to get your book into bookstores, in South Africa at least, as a self-published author, you need a distributor. Now, what is a distributor? Basically, the distributor is the intermediary person who works between you and the bookshops. They take your book, they pitch the book to the bookshops, and the bookshops decide whether or not they're gonna buy your book, right? There are about 4 that I found online. I Googled them. I ended up with Protea Book Ace. Thank you so much. They gave me that opportunity. Now I will tell you why it's important to market, right? Because before they take you on, they first need to determine the viability of your book. What have you done to market it? Remember, you're a self-publisher. The whole marketing thing falls on you. What have you done to market it? What have you done to create a brand for yourself? What's your marketing plan? What's your strategy? What are you planning to do moving forward? Because as much as they can get your book on the shelves, but bookstores need to make money by selling your book. And if you're not marketing it, what's the point of everyone investing all this time and energy into getting your book in there, right? So because I already had a marketing plan in place, an idea of what I wanted to do. Remember, this was book 1, this was last year, this was my first time. I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was able to have a marketing plan in place, and this helped because I was able to be I was in the newspaper that has about 440,000 people reading it every single day. So that helped me. And the fact that I had a social media following at the time of around 300 people on Facebook and so many in other platforms and a blog, it helped because it showed that I at least had some of the skills to market the book, right? If you're able to, you can hire your own marketing people to do it for you, but I did not have the funds to do that, so I had to be creative, right? So fortunately, they took me on, and the book was going to go on bookshelves. Okay, so the first thing they said to me was, are you married to the cover of your book? You know, this one. And I was like, to be honest, I had been thinking of changing it. They're like, maybe you should change it. And I understood. So I changed it to this, right? And then they informed me about the industry standard. They informed me about the printers that normally know the industry standard and are used. And they were very helpful in doing that. So then they were like, okay, well, here it is. Here we're now signing you on, and we are going to pitch your book to these bookshops. So we think you should print 300 copies. I mean, I looked at them like, unrealistic expectations much? I mean, I'm not gonna sell 300 copies of this book. I mean, nobody even knows me. Why should I go into the expense of printing 300 books when I'm not even a known author? I'm self-publishing here. And I was like, no, I'll stick to 150. And they were like, 300. I said, no, 150. So we stuck to 150. I wish I'd printed 300. And the reason behind that is, in my brain, I thought you only print your book once and that's the end. But no, your book always has to be available in case when it goes to the bookshops, people buy it and then the bookshops order more, then you have those copies. I wish I knew that. I didn't know that, which is why currently I'm sold out and I need to print more books because they're actually buying them. Right, so they went out, they went to all the bookshops that are available in South Africa, and I got my first consignment. Bookshops were interested in buying it, and then they started buying it, and they started buying it, and I was like, okay. And then I went to Amazon, and people were buying the book, and I'm sweating a little because I'm like, okay, wait, why are people buying it? Because, you know, remember, there's the imposter syndrome that kicks in. Why are they buying it? Why are they buying it? What are they thinking? And there were no reviews, and I started fretting over the reviews. But that's gonna be another video that I think I should get into, right? So this is basically the process of how to get the book in the shelf. So you need to get yourself a distributor. The distributor is the one who will get your book into bookshops. If you don't know how, go to a bookshop, maybe your exclusive or your bargain or any other bookshop near you, and ask them. Normally they're very helpful to tell you these are the book distributors that we use, and then you can email them and then pitch your book to them, and then they'll make a follow-up, and if they feel your book has the potential, they will sign you on, and then they will start pitching your book to all the other bookstores in the country. So that is basically how I got my book into the bookshops. And my first book has sold over 300 copies on Amazon and in paperback format. Last I checked, I think it's maybe around 350. So that's how you can get your book into the bookshelf. And then I'm going to cover the aspect of launching your book, right? So now that your book is finally in the bookshops, right? You know, you kind of want to do that whole, yay, I'm launching my book, and you can get it here. Other people are fortunate to get their books launched maybe in a bookshop that's already carrying their books. It makes it easier for you. For instance, I know that in some bookshops, when you're gonna launch your book in their bookshops, they even tweet about it on their own socials or put it on their TikToks and so on, so that people know. So that's added exposure, which is what you need. You need the exposure. Remember, the exposure is part of the branding of your entire thing. You need the publicity and the exposure for your book. But for me, I did the launch before I knew about distribution. So I did an online launch, because at that point I was thinking, who is going to be coming to my launch? What am I going to be talking about? I have a social battery of 2 hours. I'm gonna be stuck with people for over 2 hours. What happens there anyway? I sign. How do I sign? What do I write? I was overthinking, obviously. So I took the easy way out. I did one on Facebook. I did an online launch. So I did an event and then I launched my book online. Only 4 people tuned in, but I didn't really worry about it because for me, those 4 people were people that had taken the time out of their schedule to stop and to listen to me talking. So I did that for those 4 people. And I think the video currently has over 1,000 views now. So it was for then, it's not for anymore. But what I'm saying is patience. And I have the patience of a teaspoon. And that is something I had to learn, the patience side of it all. So, right, the book is launched, the book is in the bookshops, and maybe you're selling on Amazon, but then you're sitting there and you're like, okay, the sales are going down a bit. What more can I do? Because you kind of feel like you should be doing more. And then I joined Facebook groups. They were both helpful and almost destructive at the same time.